Vince Conaway shares his top 3 places to see in Italy, along with some travel tips and stories of busking in Italy, music from Vince Conaway, Brobdingnagian Bards and Ironwood, and if you're going to apologize, make it a good one. That's what I did when I wrote the song The Bridge, as an apology. It's all part of a new series where I talk about my album, Soul of Harper. This is Pub Songs and Stories number 285.
Where hae you been, say bra lad? Where hae you been, say Brankie-o? Where hae you been, say bra lad? Come ye by Killiecrankie-o? And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. Well, I bought at land and I bought at sea. At home I bought my auntie-o. But I met the devil and Dundee on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. Oh, the boat tour fell in a fur, the clavers got all cranky-o. Or I had bear and a thug led on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. By Mackay, what guards ye lie in the brushy on the Brankie-o? You better kiss King Willie's lap and come to Killiecrankie-o. And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. It's nae shame to Shankie-o. The sour slaves on the braes and the devil's a Killiecrankie-o. And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o. And ye had been where I hae been, you wouldna be say canty-o. And ye had seen what I hae seen on the braes of Killiecrankie-o.
So there I was, packing up some songbooks, some sheet music to send to Kickstarter. And I walked out to the mailbox and I was like, oh my God, it's gorgeous outside. And I keep trying to do one of these podcasts for Soul of Harper, and it hasn't come together. So today I'm going to do that because, oh my God, it's gorgeous outside. Welcome to Pub Songs and Stories. I am Marc Gunn. I'm a Sci F Irish musician and podcaster living in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're new to the show, please subscribe. You can do that at pubsong.com, or even better, just send me an email to follow@celtfather.net. Hear that? You're walking outside. The birds have just been going crazy. There's actually some birds outside our front door living on our porch up in the top corner where the covered area is, and they have some new babies. It's really pretty sounding. You know, I can hear it. I recorded a podcast with the sounds of chirping. Today I'm talking about Soul of Harper. That was my first solo CD that I release. Well, I say first, but it's my first official solo CD under my own name. I basically, and I'll tell you about it in a moment, but let me start by introducing the song I played at the beginning. That was Killiecrankie. It's from my CD, Soul of Harper. The song was inspired, the reason I ended up recording it was because of a band called Schiehallion, I think it's called. They were out of Scotland, and I found them on mp3.com years ago, and they had this great sound, some really good harmony, vocals and such. It was just gorgeous. But it's about the Battle of Killiecrankie in 1689. The first 3 verses and chorus were written by Robert Burns in 1789. A little bit of tidbits of facts. I do want to let you know, want to find out what your favorite song on Soul of Harper is. Soul of Harper was my very first CD. It came out in 2003, 2004. But you can buy a copy of the digital copy on Patreon if you want, and where you can also support my music. I'm going to tell you about Soul of Harper in just a moment. First, I want to let you know that speaking of Scotland, in this September, end of September, early October, I'm doing a Celtic invasion vacation. I do these all the time. You might hear them on the Irish and Celtic Music podcast if you listen to that. This one is for the whiskey of Scotland is what I'm going to be invading, and we're going to be doing. We're going to be driving around Scotland, trying whiskey, going for hikes, trying whiskey, going for hikes. That's kind of the idea. I'm still working on the itinerary as I record this. It's going to be just an absolute amazing adventure. So let's play some music from Ironwood. She Likes the Guinness. It's from their album Gretna Green. They were on the Irish and Celtic Music podcast, and I was kind of disappointed that I hadn't played them sooner because they had some great sounding music. This is a good album, so go check it out. This is Ironwood. Here's She Likes the Guinness.
She likes the Guinness!
Bless her heart! Found herself alone one night with drink in hand, an ice cold pint, with teary eyes and broken heart. Best dress on and looking smart, gents around all gave a start.
She likes the Guinness! Bless her heart!
American lass with eyes so bright, please won't you come and dance with me tonight? They kept her glass filled to the brim until the lights outside had grown dim. They offered her romance, but did they know they didn't stand a chance with her poor broken heart?
She likes the Guinness! Bless her heart!
American lass with eyes so bright, please won't you come dance with me tonight? She said, I don't mind you asking, and I like you, I'll think I wanna dance. See, my heart today was broken, I'm not looking for romance. Can see your hope in there, is something you can do for me instead. This glass right here is empty, won't you fill it up again? Won't you fill it up again? The band struck up a lively tune. The guitar man had eyes for only one inside the crowded room. She smiled back, he somehow knew that this was love right from the start.
She likes the Guinness! Bless her heart!
American lass with eyes so bright, please won't you come dance with me tonight? The music died down for the night. The bar was empty save for the American lass with eyes so bright. He knew right then and there that he'd give anything to have her hand, if only he could make her understand. So he said, please don't mind me asking, I hope that you might just give me a chance. I can tell your heart's been broken, you aren't looking for romance. Can see your hope in there, is something I can do for you instead. can see your glass is empty. Can I fill it up again? Let me fill it up again. Let me fill it up again. She said, I don't mind you asking, and I like that you don't think I want to dance. See, I'm tired of feeling broken, might be ready for romance. Can see you're hoping there is something you can do for me instead. Well, this heart of mine is empty, won't you fill it up again? See, this heart of mine is empty, won't you fill it up again? Won't you fill it up again?
She likes the Guinness.
On the back of my CD, Soul of Harper, I had written, "May your boots be well worn and your soul well wandered." I feel like it's kind of appropriate that I put that on the back of my CD 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I put that on the back of a CD, and now this year, of course, I released a CD called Come Adventure With Me, which continues my love of adventure and travel. It's been an amazing ride, and I've learned so much over the years, done so much over the years. It's just been wonderful to have released that CD and the 20 some odd albums I've released since then. I think I'm on my 25th album. So more than one a year. The subtitle of the album is An Autoharper's Spiritual Wandering Through Celtic Songs. The cover photo was by Nancy Pearsall, and the graphic design was by yours truly, and I won an award for it from the Austin Music Awards. Actually, admittedly, they closed down the category. I don't know if that's a reflection of my artwork, of my graphic design, or what, but was doing really well. The Brobdingnagian Bards were doing really well. I guess, and that was the year that my album won Best Cover Design, which, fantastic. I liked the design. I thought it was really, really good as well. But they did close it down after this. I broke the category. So why did I record this album? At the time I was still playing with the Brobdingnagian Bards most of the time, and wait. Pause 1 second as we adventure across this water. We're gonna catch some sounds here. You hear that running stream? Oh, I gotta get a picture. One of the things I'm trying to do, I don't usually spend much time doing pictures, and I'm gonna touch one right here too. I don't spend much time doing pictures and such, but I'm supposed to be, promoting myself and whatnot, and it occurs to me that in order to do that, I should probably take a picture every day. One picture that captures some sort of scene, some sort of memory, some sort of thought. And I don't exactly know how to do that, per se, but I'm gonna get one more picture, because it's pretty out here. Ooh, there we go. So, Soul of Harper. I love the album. It was truly inspiring to create this for many reasons. Again, I was playing music with the Brobdingnagian Bards, and I didn't need another album. Admittedly, at the time, we had just finished up, we were in the process of finishing up a recording of Memories of Middle-earth, which is a beautiful album. A lot of instrumentals, a few original songs, but all original music. And it was really good. One of the things I found as we were recording that album is, particularly on the song Moria. I don't know if you ever listened to my part on Moria, where I play this really cool melody on the autoharp. And my thought when I recorded it was that Andrew would play my melody. And so it would be, an original melody on the autoharp by yours truly. And as I was developing my skills as an autoharper, I really wanted my autoharp to shine. As it turned out, Andrew came up with a beautiful counter melody. It's gorgeous. I didn't want to change anything. That's the problem I kept running into with when Andrew and I wrote music together, is that I might actually create a melody, and then he would come across, and because he has a dominant single note instrument, my melody always felt like it got lost. And I didn't know what to do about that. So one of the things I thought was, well, I can write my own melodies, which is ultimately one of the reasons I decided to put together this album. There was some also artistic frustration. My mind was exploding and wanting to record a lot of music. And Andrew was getting more fine-tuned. He wanted to fine-tune things a lot more, and I wanted to release a lot more. We had different concepts at the time, so this was a way for me to express myself, to show my music, and stand out, to do something that was mine, and that I didn't have to worry about how long it was going to take to make the next album. So that's number 2. Also about that time, during this time, I was also recording some stuff on mp3.com a little bit before this. But I had learned a lot about marketing, particularly for the site mp3.com. So I was learning, keywords. If you look at the title, the bridge for the song I'm going to be doing in a little bit, well, it has a subtitle called A Lover's Apology. I added that in on the side because it turned out when I added that into the title on the song on mp3.com, the song got a lot more plays. So I realized that was a useful addition. The bridge doesn't say a whole lot, but A Lover's Apology says a whole lot more. So I found these little things that I was learning, and I needed a way to express myself. I think that's most of the things that or how this CD came about. Oh, that was the other thing, is that I learned from mp3.com that basically the more music you put out, the more money you made, which is why I was also frustrated that we weren't actually creating new music, much new music. And so I said, well, let's put something together, and again, I can do it on my own time, and I can create a project that highlights me. And so the album, which is, there's a couple, 2 or 3 instrumental tracks. There's a couple a cappella tracks, because again, I'm trying my best to highlight me. And then, of course, there's some original songs with me and my autoharp. There were many reasons why I wanted to do this, and I was trying to find, my place in the world, I think. Even though I had a band, I still felt like I needed to express myself. And as an autoharper, I especially found that I wanted to express myself, because I had one review on this album, and one of the reviewer said that Harper, there's no harp music on here, was his criticism. I was like, well, yeah, and it says an autoharper's spiritual journey through song or something, and I'm like, how? Don't you get that? But I wanted to highlight the autoharp, and most autoharpers kind of liken themselves to harpers, because there's just it's that connection. We end up playing songs by harpers and such. But that was one of those things that inspired the movement of this album, making it happen. One of the funny moments, interesting moments, is I had my friend Stacy. She helped me record the album, not by actually playing on it or mixing it or even listening to it. Really, she just napped on my couch while I was recording the album, because I was having trouble motivating myself. I typically get excited about a project, and then I forget to actually do anything about it. And so she would take a nap on my couch while I sang songs, and it worked out. So thanks, Stacy. Finally, before we move on, the album title was inspired by Rie Sheridan Rose. She had written a song for me called Soul of Harper. And I love the song. I wrote the melody, and she wrote me the lyrics. She had a melody for it initially, but she and I both don't know what happened to that. But let me play for you Soul of a Harper from the Brobdingnagian Bards album, Brobdingnagian Fairy Tale.
They say it is a hanging, so I will be. My body a twisting from yonder oak tree, or daring to think that a man could live free. Though I may die, as a harper I'll be. For the strings of my harp will never be stilled, while the green of the shamrock still grows on the hill. For the music of Ireland is her strength and her will, and the soul of a harper a mortal can kill. For the red-headed queen on a golden throne, fierce harper freedom she never has known. Her bright Gaelic passion comes through in the tone, so she orders it silenced and broods all alone. Oh, the strings of my harp will never be stilled, while the green of the shamrock still grows on the hill. For the music of Ireland is her strength and her will, and the soul of a harper a mortal can kill. For a man of the road, death holds no sting. 'Tis another adventure, a wondrous thing. I know that my music will evermore ring in the hills and the rivers of each Irish spring. Oh, the strings of my harp will never be stilled, while the green of the shamrock still grows on the hill. For the music of Ireland is her strength and her will, and the soul of a harper no mortal can kill. Yes, the soul of a harper no mortal can kill.
The story of the bridge. The bridge is a song that I wrote originally. I put it on Gullible's Travels, the Brobdingnagian Bards CD, and it also went on a Celtic Renaissance wedding. And as I said, I had written it. I had written it as an apology. I don't know if that was actually true, honestly, but I do remember I was driving near Pease Park, and I was dating a woman at the time. Who took the photo, actually, and she and I were going on and off again, so I don't know how accurate that story is at this point in time. It's been a long time, because I don't particularly remember, but I remember I was driving by Pease Park near the University of Texas at Austin campus, driving by there, and the melody was stuck in the melody in particular was stuck in my head, this waltz rhythm, and I pulled over at the park, and I ended up writing the lyrics to it. And it was immediately something that I absolutely loved. It felt like this was like the culmination of songs that I really wanted to put out in the world. It was just that song. So let me share with you a few of the lyrics, things that I'm actually proud of. Was it something I said that made you angry with me, made you dig a deep river to keep you from me? Or the water is rushing, come to sweep me away, lest I die of sorrow, I will cross it today. Very, very emotion-packed first verse. And I love the allusions. I think I did a really good job. This is one of those songs that I don't feel like there's anything I would change. I like everything that flows from this song, particularly the chorus, because I would build a bridge 100 meters long. I love using that because meters, is something I think of for Europe more than the States. And so I loved it. Oh, speaking of a river, here we go. Or more of a creek, but still. But I kept that. I used that instead of feet, which is sometimes what I could have done. But it just gives it a more temporally distant measurement. Even though it might have, even if I was talking about, I don't know, it might have been different if I was thinking about Britain or something like that. But in any case, I love how that came out, the 100 meters long. To see the other side of what I did wrong. Well, you say you don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared that with a river between us, you'll no longer care. And, it taps on the fear, our fears of any relationship. And I think, when you're in your 20s, when I wrote this song, it certainly, I was in one of my longest running relationship up until my wife. There's all that fear that goes into being in a relationship. I would beg your forgiveness for the pain that I've fed, and I'd find the source of the river you've bled. Then I'd close the gates to the dams I built there, and never again will you have anything to fear. I just love all the illusions, the thoughts that you get out of this when I talk about rivers and such. I would build a boat and paddle against all sorrow. And if I sailed on the river, I'll be back again tomorrow. That line actually kind of reminds me of the cat came back. It's like, I will keep coming back. I'm going to keep at it, which I think is certainly something that I've long done. I would face cold death, run in and leap to your side. And if I fall in the river, I'll be warmed by your sight. The final verse, well, I never knew that your tears ran so deep. But when I've damned those tears, I will kiss your sweet cheek. Nice use of damned versus damn. Two different types of damn. I will hold you close till your tears finally cease, and I'll sing you a lullaby to bring you peace. Just a very pretty song. One of my favorite parts about the song is, so it is autoharp centric, and I have a part where I'm picking out at the end, that fourth verse, where I'm picking out individual notes on the autoharp, and I'm very proud of that. While it's not, solid set in stone, what it is set in stone is the hitting the general one note. The autoharp has a very loud, because there's so many strings, it can be very loud. So sometimes hitting one or two sections, one section at a time, it turns into, it's magical. I don't think I've actually done that on any other song that I can think of. And I really should, because it's a wonderful effect. So, of course, like I said, the album was also released on Gullible's Travels and A Celtic Renaissance Wedding, but the one that made a difference for me was the one on Soul of Harper. And I also recorded it later for my CD, also called The Bridge. But this is the version from Soul of Harper that I'm going to play for you to finish up the show. And I love how this song came out. I hope you enjoy it as well. And I'll be back to talk to you a little bit more about the album. And I also have some travel tips to share with you, so stick around. Here is The Bridge.
Was it something from me. Oh, the water is rushing, come to sweep me away. Unless I die of sorrow, I will cross it today. I would build a bridge 100 meters long, see the other side of what I did wrong. You say don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared. With the river between us, I no longer care. I would build a boat and paddle against all sorrow. And if I sail down the river, I'll be back again tomorrow. I would face cold death, run and leap to your side. And if I fall in the river, I'll be warmed by your sight. I would build a bridge 100 meters long, see the other side of what I did wrong. You say don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared. With the river between us, no longer care. I would beg your forgiveness for the pain that I fed, and I will find the source to the river you've bled. Then I'll close the gates to the dam I built there, and never again will you have anything to fear. I would build a bridge 100 meters long, see the other side of what I did wrong. You say don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared. With the river between us, you no longer care. Well, I never knew that your tears ran so deep, and when I've damned those tears, I will kiss your sweet cheek and I'll hold you close till all tears finally cease, and I'll sing you a lullaby and bring you peace. I would build a bridge 100 meters long, see the other side of what I did wrong. You say don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared. With the river between us, you no longer care. I would build a bridge 100 meters long, see the other side of what I did wrong. You say don't hate me, but I guess that I'm scared. With the river between us, you no longer care. And with the bridge between us, I know that you'll care.
I always think about Mikey Mason's song, Celebrate the Things You Love, because this show is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. If you enjoy this podcast or my music, please join the club. You get something new every week. Might get a little bit less during the summer. I'm working out some of those things right now, but it could be a bonus podcast, downloadable songs, sheet music, blogs, stories from the road. You get access to videos like my Coffee with the Celt Father video concert series, which will be back again in August. You get ad-free when you listen over on Patreon as well. Yeah, I started putting ads on the show just as a way to financially support the show and my music and whatnot. So if you want to find out how to become a patron, email follow@keltfather.net. And if you can't support me financially, I do understand that. Just take care of yourself first. But you can sign up on Patreon for free, and you'll still get some wonderful stuff. So I had another podcast. It was called Celt Father, the Celt Father. It went through a bunch of different titles. Celt Father Unkilted, Celt Father blah, blah, blah. It's currently called Travel Ireland and Scotland. Basically, it's the podcast for my Celtic Invasion vacations. And that, too, is a little audio series, or that's the plan for the future. But I love traveling. And a few years back, I was at Sherwood Forest Fair, and I recorded some interviews with several musicians and entertainers who I know on the Renaissance Festival circuit. And I'm going to introduce those in the next few weeks as I continue this podcast series on Soul of a Harper. But we're starting it off with Vince Conaway. If you love adventure, then you'll find this a wonderful interview I did with Vince Conaway. He plays hammered dulcimer. He's an incredible busker, and every year he goes to exotic locations abroad to play music in the streets and become a part of the culture of the region. And having had years of Celtic invasion vacations where we sort of do the same, his story is really kind of dear to my heart. So when I interviewed him, we talked I had a longer interview, which I might end up sharing. If I haven't shared it on Patreon already, I'll post it over there. But this is a slightly shortened version where he shares some of his story and how he got to busking in Europe, but also some travel tips for Italy and Europe, things that he's really loves about that. So I think you'll enjoy it. You can find out all about him at vinceconaway.com. And of course, he too is on Patreon, and he travels thanks to patrons like you. So here is my interview with Vince Conaway with some travel tips. Over the years, I've been watching you tear it up with the dulcimer. Tell me a little bit about the hammered dulcimer, first of all.
Well, I can go on about that all day. Basically, as far as we can prove, it's a 12th century instrument. It's probably older. Originally, it was a variation on a style of ancient Greek lap harp that was plucked. And either the Byzantine Greeks or the medieval Persians were the first ones to hit it, probably with wooden spoons. But we don't have definitive evidence of it until the Crusaders show up. And so we know they stole it from someone in the neighborhood, but we can't prove exactly who. Okay. The Persians have a slightly better case, but there is a Byzantine argument as well. From there, it spread all throughout the world. The Crusaders brought it back to Europe. It went along the Silk Road with the spice merchants, ended up everywhere throughout Europe, through China, through India, and came to the New World with both the conquistadors and with the English colonists, then pretty much died out after the invention of the piano. So it's mainly today found as a folk instrument in mountainous, rural, remote parts of the world because pianos are really heavy.
When did you start going to traveling to Europe?
Well, it depends on how you define traveling. Okay. I went to England and Italy on vacation in January of 2006 and ran across street performers and said, that's cool. And I was lucky that 4 months later, I was back in Europe on a performance tour, playing festivals with the Aerial Angels when I was the house band with them in those days. And while I was playing festivals with the Angels, I started doing a couple of street shows on the side. And the first European street show I ever played was actually in Bruges, in the Marktplatz at Bruges. Wow. I played for 45 minutes and made a couple euros and said, that's interesting. We were playing a festival in Tuscany, right outside Florence, in the little town of Certaldo, which was cool because we got to play the courtyard where Boccaccio grew up. As a Renaissance geek, I thought that was really cool. And so while we were in Certaldo, I took a day trip and I played on a street corner in Florence for about an hour, and I made like 15 euros. And I said, if I do that a couple times a day, because I had just been in Europe a couple months before and I knew how to travel really cheaply, I said, if I can pull in 30, 35 euros a day, that will cover expenses. And so the next winter I went whole hog and I booked 4 months. And I found out that I'm not actually allowed to do what I had done in Florence. I just got lucky that the hour I played, no one caught me. And and I haven't looked back. I go back fairly frequently.
What about travel tips? Now, I would say you are like a master now. So what are your favorite? Now, you obviously travel solo. Yeah. And, obviously are fearless.
Well, it's funny because it's kind of the opposite. I'm a little scared of everything.
Are you really? Do you go into these new markets to playing shows and get a little freaked out when you...
Oh, yeah.
Really?
No, the first song...
Okay, then I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, the first song of every set... And this is
busking I do.
Oh, yeah. I have a ritual. And this goes for certain stage shows as well. When I'm playing a new festival or a stage I haven't played before, or any time where I'm feeling at all nervous or intimidated, my first song is always a song that I recorded on my CD Labyrinth many years ago. I want to say 2006, and it's the title track called Labyrinth. It's one of the first songs that I've ever written, and it's a song that's really good about putting me into the zone. It's a song that's really good. It's almost self-hypnosis, and at this point it's so familiar, and it's still one of my favorite pieces to play, that I play it almost ritualistically, where the first song is for me, and after that the show is for the audience, but the first song is for me. And so I'll set up on a street corner. It's a city I haven't played. I don't know necessarily what the local regulations are. I don't necessarily know how friendly other buskers are. I don't know if I'm going to get in an argument with a beggar, which occasionally does happen, because I'm in, quote, their spot. And, you can navigate around all of those. None of those are deal breakers. They're all fairly routine, but it's the sum total of not knowing what's coming that is intimidating. And so the first song is just head down, get through the tune, play the tune, concentrate on the music. And after that first tune, head up, I'm on.
And then you feel good and confident. And
exactly. But it's that first song that's for me that gets everything else started.
What about if you were talking to someone who was saying, I've been thinking about going to Europe, any tips?
Yeah, I mean, I've got lots of tips. Don't pack too much. Layers, as always, are your friend.
How many pairs of clothes do you bring?
Now, I pack very light because my suitcase includes a whole bunch of CDs, as well as a fold-up, dismantleable dulcimer stand. I found over the years that the wooden ones I use at the festivals tend to get lost by airlines. They'd get to me, but it'd take a couple days. I mean, I wrapped one in hot pink fabric, and they still lost it. That's the point where I said, okay, I'm going to build one of these out of 2-foot lengths of PVC pipe. Nice. And so I've got the stand, I've got CDs, and toiletries. And generally, I will travel... depending on the trip. In South America, I doubled this, but when I'm in Europe, I will wear an outfit, and I will wear the bulkiest outfit. A lot of times I street perform in a blazer, and so that goes on my body onto the plane. But I will wear an outfit, and I will pack 3 extra t-shirts, 3 extra pairs of underwear, 3 extra pairs of socks, and 3 extra dress shirts, or maybe 1 or 2 if I'm planning on shopping. That's the joy of Italy.
True.
And then, of course, over the run, a lot of times, as the CDs sell, some of that space may possibly be taken up by a pair of Italian dress shoes.
I was about to ask
kind of a thing.
Do you usually bring do you usually have one pair of shoes?
I bring one pair with me.
I know you love your shoes.
I love my shoes. For someone who travels all the time, I have a ridiculous number of dress shoes. I got a couple leather jackets, too. But yeah, so I will, and the thing about shoes as well is I walk a lot.
Yeah.
I will cover 5 to 12 miles a day, and so whatever pair of shoes I bring don't necessarily survive the trip. Gotcha. So as they're starting to go, I usually then buy another pair of shoes, hopefully upgrading, which is fun, and then you break them in together. You don't want to switch immediately to a new pair of shoes, especially buying Italian leather dress shoes. It will become, those will be the stage shoes. So I'll wear those 2 2-hour busking sets a day, and then the shoes that I brought are the ones that I walk around in, and over time I phase in the new shoes as the old shoes die.
What other tips do you have?
I like to say get to know a place. Don't overschedule your trip. What I tend to say for Italy especially, and I actually at Penzic, I teach a class for cool stuff to see in Italy that's off the beaten path.
Oh, really? Nice.
Penzic, the SCA event. So what I usually say is, if you're going to hit the big 3 in Italy are the big 3 for a reason: Rome, Venice, and Florence. Don't necessarily give them equal time. Take time out of Venice, whatever you're planning. Take time away from Venice and spend it in Rome. Rome has ridiculous amounts of things to see. I have spent cumulatively months of my life in Rome, and there's still something new I see every time. There's just so much there. And Venice is gorgeous, Venice is amazing, and Venice is dying, so see it. Once you've spent a day in Venice, once you've spent 2 days in Venice, you have seen Venice. If you are there on a honeymoon, that's a different thing. You're not necessarily there to see Venice. It is the most romantic place on earth. So that's a different consideration. But if you are planning a big 3 tour of Italy, take time out of Venice and spend it in Rome. And take a day trip out of Florence and go see Lucca and Siena. And I love Pisa. Pisa's amazing. It's a wonderful place to play music, but it's not worth a day on its own. It's
too impressive to.
I
like climbing the tower. That was it.
You know, it's fun. And downtown Pisa has some really cool medieval stuff. There's a church with 15th century graffiti from an electoral campaign that's still there. And he defaced like half the church. It's hilarious. It's glorious. It's beautiful. If you want to hang out someplace for a while, Pisa's a good base. But if you want to see Tuscany, don't spend a lot of time in Pisa. If you're going to do a day trip to Pisa, split it with Lucca. Lucca's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
And like I said, if you're in Florence, go to Siena. Siena is amazing.
What is your absolute favorite place that you've traveled to?
Oh, there are a lot of criteria there.
We'll go for top 3.
Top 3. Okay, I will give you three different goals then.
Okay.
My favorite place for busking, my favorite place for street performing is Genoa, Italy. It is dirty. It is grimy. It is also pretty much the largest preserved medieval quarter in Europe. It took a lot of heavy bomb damage in World War II, but the first 2 stories of most of the buildings survived. It's just the upper stories that tended to go bye-bye. So, it was... World War II was not generous, but it's still a beautiful medieval... Well, I shouldn't say beautiful. It is a very well-preserved medieval core. It's huge. And it's sprawling. It's these 6-foot wide streets and these very tall 6-story buildings on either side, and it's incredibly atmospheric for that. But be careful; it is a little grimy. It is a little more dangerous. The most beautiful place I have ever seen is in Croatia, Dubrovnik, Croatia. Now I've been told that in high tourist season it is absolutely overrun and just miserable. But I went there in early March,
right,
and it was deserted and it was stunning. And I cannot wait to go back one of these days. But like I said, hit it in the off season because because it is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Other people say that too. Mm-hmm. I was in line for the boat ride from Bari, Italy, to go to Dubrovnik, and a gentleman behind me in line said to walk the city walls of Dubrovnik, and he said if you don't take 100 pictures at least on that walk of the city walls, he said you have no soul. And I've been a traveler for many years at this point, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, I've been all over, I've seen a lot. So I count my pictures at the end, and it was like 127. That was a good tip. So the third place, I have to say, is a bit off the beaten path, and I'm going to widen the criteria here. A part of Italy that is very much neglected because everyone is going for the big 3, and the big 3 are worth it. They are the big 3 for a reason. But the boot heel of Italy, Puglia, is glorious. If you are a medievalist especially, because all of these tiny fishing villages were just little fishing villages. The Crusaders show up because they're all hiring a boat. They pour all of this money into the town. These tiny fishing villages become just blossom with 11th century, 12th century architecture. And then after the Crusades, they go back to being fishing villages. So they never tore any of it down. These glorious, huge cathedrals are way more than you need to serve a little village of 10,000, 12,000, 30,000 people. And they never withstood urban expansion because the cities peaked in population at that time, and they weren't worth bombing. So these cities are just beautiful. Ostuni, Lecce, Trani are probably the 3 prettiest. And then to broaden the Barletta is rather pretty, and just that entire coastline is beautiful, and it is very, very sadly neglected. Although it's starting to get a little more English, a little more tourists, because EasyJet has started running cheap flights daily from London.
Nice.
And so the Brits have found it.
That's fantastic. Your music, you play the hammer dulcimer.
I do.
And you have, what is, name one of your favorite songs that you've written on the hammer dulcimer from these albums. You have a new album too.
I do. Dulcimelos.
Dulcimelos.
Dulcimelos is the phrase in Latin that evolved into the word dulcimer, and it literally means sweet sound. Melos is also the root word for what we use.
Is that all
as
original
melody.
music, or?
It is not. It is. It has a little bit of original on it, but it is all over the map.
Okay.
My guide for Dulce Melos was I wanted to give kind of a handy survey all over what the dulcimer could do. So it's got a medieval core. It's got a number of Renaissance tunes. It's got a couple Baroque tunes. Bach is fun. It also has a couple of Celtic tunes. I have 4 or 5 Celtic tunes, and I have, I believe, 3 original tunes on there as well. Indeed.
Where you also have a travel blog, right? You pretty much
I do.
You blog about your travels?
I do, and then I'm through the
photos?
website. Yes, and that's where all of the other social media ties in.
Which is really cool, but you can also find him on Patreon,
yes,
where you can get a little bit more of and help support him as he travels the world and shares his experience, which I think is just brilliant. I mean, yours are one of my favorite things to watch, to look at Facebook, because there's always something interesting.
It's a lot of fun. I really am pleased that with social media I can share it. You know, the first couple trips I took, I didn't even have a blog at that point. I had an email list where I had people sign up, and I had 20 or 30 people that I sent these emails to. And I have since imported most of those emails from the first trips into the blog, so they are out there. But yeah, I have really enjoyed being able to bring people with me. Now, on Facebook, it gets a little more of the generalities. And then Instagram as well is a little more of, these are the 6 photos that I've seen today, where Facebook might get one of those that is kind of the highlight reel.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
it was my pleasure.
It's always my pleasure, man. I love hearing your stories. I hope you enjoyed that interview. We're going to finish up with a track called Goblin Parade. It's from his newest album, Musica Instrumentalis. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you found it fun and entertaining, and maybe even a little educational. And I will be back next week with the part 2 of the Soul of a Harper series, where I'm going to cover some more songs from that album. I'll talk to you later. Oh, and make sure you go vote for your favorite song from my album if you haven't already picked one. I'll talk to you later. Sláinte. Thank you for listening to Pub Songs and Stories. This episode was edited by Mitchell Peterson. You can follow and listen to the show on my Patreon or wherever you find podcasts. Sign up to my mailing list to learn more about songs featured in this podcast and discover where I'm performing. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, and think about how you can make a positive impact on climate change. Have fun and sing along at pubsong.com.